What about the James Harden trade request? A lot of thoughts that the Clippers are the likely team, but that's in a world where the star has all the leverage. Now, James does have a lot of leverage. Like he's an expiring contract going into the season. So he could, if he wanted to get real messy with it, he could just say, I'm not re-signing with whatever team trades for me if it's not the Clippers, right? Like he has leverage in that. And if Philly wants to, kind of say like, no, you're here. Like we'll trade you when we trade you. You got to come play. He could either half-ass it like he did at the end of the Houston run and part of that Brooklyn run, or he could say like, I'm going to sit out. And the difference between him sitting out and Ben Simmons sitting out, Ben Simmons had 4 years left. James, like, I'm sure doesn't want to give up the money, but if he wants to play hardball, he can do that. And Daryl Morey, we know that he is not someone that's just going to accept whatever is thrown his way in terms of that. Like, he's a very hardline negotiator. And so, Jay, like, what do you expect him to be on the Clippers?
I expect to not to be on Philly, but this really is a mixture of two of the guys who have taken kind of the hardest line stance in these negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
Morey had Ben Simmons disgruntled and just said, "All right, Ben, you can not play, and we're going to take time, and we're going to find a trade." That's how James Harden ended up in Philly.
Yeah.
James Harden has put on weight. He has gone to
that was a fat suit, man. Come on, he was 30 pounds lighter in a day. Like there's something going on there. He was but Nutty Professor or something. I don't know.
He has gone on trips. He has done whatever it takes to angle his way out of destinations before. And like looking at the situation from afar, it's hard to see where Philly comes out of this with even close to equal talent, because for whatever Harden's flaws are, he was very good for most of last season. He had some bad games in the playoffs, but also 2 gems against Boston. And he's on an expiring deal. He's 35 years old or whatever he is. And he's definitely
hold on. He's not 35, is he?
He's definitely
he's 35. He's turning 35.
No, he's 30. He's 30. He's turning 34 in August. Come on, man. You got him.
He's
geriatric.
But that's a hard.
He's born in 88.
It is a hard 30. Yeah, that is a hard.
I will say, the years of stars being traded for stars are done.
Feels like it, right?
Yeah, and you're not going in the asking price. The return is not going to be as high. You're gonna get some picks. You're gonna get some role guys, and maybe a guy that can help. That maybe be a second fiddle.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get like an equal star. Like you don't get a Paul George back. You don't get these type of players anymore, bro. Like that those days are over. It's about how many picks you can get them 2027, 2029 picks.
Oh man, the 27, 29 drafts are gonna be just so the lotteries are gonna be stressful, man.
Auto-generated rookies.
But let's talk about the Clippers offer. Like let's say just it doesn't include Paul George because
it doesn't.
That would be their idea.
Yeah.
From Philly's standpoint, what over there would be reasonable, and then also for them, their thinking now has to be, how do we keep Joel Embiid at least somewhat happy? How do we keep him from asking out at this point? Because things have gotten bad there. He's never gotten out of the second round. He still seems like he's really young because he just kind of got healthy and exploded. He's 29.
That's a hard 29.
30 years old.
That's a hard 29.
And he must feel some real urgency to go on a deep playoff run, to after winning an MVP, to get something around him that accentuates him. And if Harden's leaving and they're only taking back role players, it's really hard to see that team being a viable contender.
Look, so Norm Powell's going to be there. Like Nick Nurse loves Norm Powell. So I think that's a lock for him to be, and not just contract wise, but that's probably the highest level player you can get back from the Clippers in this deal, right? I think you have to demand that Terrence Mann's in it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, man, I think the contracts are about right. Like maybe you get, some young guy that the Clippers think is on the roster, and like maybe someone they want to develop just because you can. You get 2 firsts, you get pick swaps, you get whatever second round picks you can get. I think that's kind of it. I think it's kind of Trey's point. Like these are just the deals now for, especially when a team doesn't have the leverage, right?
And he's an expiring contract.
Yeah, that's where Philly doesn't like as hard line. Like, and at a certain point, it might not be up to Daryl Morey. It might be ownership saying, "Get it done." Like we don't want this around. At that point, what can you do?